Hello everyone, welcome to the Autring. A conservative victory for South Korea's upcoming presidential election could see the country adopt a rigid stance on North Korea and China, potentially igniting fresh tensions in the Asia Pacific. Yoon Seok-yeol of the Conservative People Power Party and Lee Jae-myuk of the ruling Democratic Party are the front-runners for the March 9 vote. A string of opinion polls conducted by Gallup Korea, a research company, show Yoon and Lee running neck and neck, indicating a tight race ahead. In one survey of 1,000 adults on February 25, Lee's public approval rating stood at 38%, compared with Yoon's 37%. Another poll in early February showed the two tied at a 35%. Economic issues, particularly housing, are at the forefront of this election. But given North Korea's ongoing missile activity and anti-China sentiment at home, foreign policy matters are also expected to weigh in on public sentiment, with each candidate holding divergent views on relating with North Korea, China, and the United States. There's a lot at stake for South Korea's geopolitical fate. Kim Jong-un's government has been ramping up missile tests as diplomatic talks with the United States and its allies remain at a standstill. This isn't a novel development, but against the backdrop of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it adds to the rising fears of regional unrest. Most recently, on February 27th, Pyongyang fired what is likely called a medium-range ballistic missile, according to officials in South Korea and Japan. In line with his conservative predecessors, Yoon demands North Korea first denuclearize before the two Koreas agree on peace pacts and economic assistance. In late November, he told the South Korean newspaper Kukmin Ilbo that he would consider cancelling the 2018 Comprehensive Military Agreement, a diplomatic milestone of President Moon Jae-in's reign, if North Korea doesn't change its attitude. In contrast, Democratic Party's Lee supports Moon's approach of diplomatic engagement and economic cooperation with North Korea as a means of initiating denuclearization. He also supports easing existing sanctions if North Korea complies. Unlike Yoon, Lee is also open to declaring an end to the Korean War in order to bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table. However, despite sharing similar perspectives, analysts said Lee is unlikely to copy Moon's policies. Quote, while Moon was personally heavily invested in engineering an inter-Korean summit and trying to build sustainable cooperative relations with North Korea, Lee is likely to uphold the principle of peaceful coexistence while being reluctant to expend too much political capital on trying to achieve it, especially if Pyongyang is uncooperative. Jenny Town, senior fellow at independent think tank Stimson Center, told CNBC News Channel. Town is also the director of the center's North Korea-focused research arm, 38 North. Further complicating matters is Yoon's emphasis on resuming joint military exercises with the United States. These have been scaled down since 2018, quote, owing to North Korea's perception of these maneuvers as preparation for war. Fei Zhui, Asia analyst at the Economist Intelligence Unit, told CNBC News. A revival is thus likely to anger Kim Jong-un. Yoon's position is, quote, harsh enough to make North Korea abandon diplomacy altogether, as it was the case during the tenures of Lee and Park, end quote, Shang-Ji, Wu. A doctoral student at East Asian politics specialist at Boston College wrote in a note published by Lowy Institute. A wave of anti-China uproar has been sweeping across South Korean media in recent weeks following controversies surrounding the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Combined with the broader concerns about Beijing's aggressive stance towards its neighbors in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific, the Asian giant has become a central talking point in this election. South Korea's position on China is also likely closely linked to its relationship with the United States, given Beijing and Washington's historical rivalry, meaning Seoul often finds itself in a position of prioritizing one of the two superpowers. Quote, Lee is expected to adhere to a relationship of strategic ambiguity with China, wanting to balance security and economic relations, said Town. Like Moon, Lee understands that he needs Chinese support on both the North Korea issue as well as on the economic front. Quote, Lee Jae-myung is more concerned about China's economic influence on South Korea and will therefore adopt a more neutral stance, echoed Zhui. However, the intensifying tensions between the United States and China would make this approach increasingly difficult to hold, Zhui added. Yoon meanwhile seeks stronger security cooperation with the United States specifically calling for additional terminal high-altitude area defense deployments, which is sure to spark economic punishment from China. Thank you all so much for watching. For further updates, please stay tuned to the Autring.